Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So today in this session we are going to understand about iframe. So I hope everybody did their assignment and now they got some confidence. How can we create a website, right? Now you are able to create a web pages. Now collection of web pages is equal to a website. So what is a website? If someone asks you a question, you have to say it is a collection of a web page. Now, what is a page? What is a web page? It's a one electronic page on your web. Now, when you are going to collect multiple web pages, you are going to design multiple web pages and you are going to keep in one folder, and that particular folder is called your website. For example, you created a website which contains a tab, means a link known as home. Now you have to design some content on that home web page. So you will be defining all the introduction or welcome messages about your company information, that all on home web page, right? Now you will be creating one more web page known as about. Now in this about web page, you are going to mention the content related to your company. What is the address of company? Where is it located? Its contact, not contact numbers. Yeah, you can provide about contact number as well. So this is a second web page. Now third web page, you are going to create something like services. Now in this service web page, you are going to mention about your company details, not company details, like what kind of service you are providing from this company. Like if you are a software company, then you are going to create some mobile apps, some websites, such like that. What kind of work you do, so that a client can understand, okay, this particular company is going to do this particular work. So that information they are going to get from the service web page. Now you have created three web pages. In the same way, according to the requirement of company, you are going to create a multiple web pages. Now all these web pages you are going to keep in a folder, and that folder you are going to deploy in the server, okay, by taking some domain or by taking some space, right? Now that particular space is called your website. So that's basic I wanted to clear. I thought to clear in the first session, but I think I forgot it. So as of now, you understood what is the difference between web page and your website, right? Now you are creating a one document, right? This is called one web page. Now we have created first .html, then attribute.html. So all these are one web page. So if we create everything and keep in one folder, then it becomes one website, right? You have to give just the links from one web page to how you have to go to the next web page. So this is how you are going to build a static web page. Now when we are going to introduce our JavaScript, right, that time you will understand what is dynamic web page. Now what is static web page? The whose content cannot be changed. Whenever you are going to open that website or any web page, the content will be fixed. You cannot change anything. If you open that web page for 100 times, it will be the same content 100 times. Such kind of web pages are called static web pages. And what is dynamic web pages? Where user can do some interaction, where user can change, then according to the user, the web page will load the data. So such kind of websites are called dynamic. For example, Facebook is a dynamic website or dynamic web page. So whenever you are going to log in, now it is going to fetch the data of viewers, right? It is not going to fetch the data of some other person. Now when I am going to log in, it is going to fetch the data of my details from database, and it is going to display my details on my home page. So my home page is different from your home page. Now it's totally depend upon that particular user. So depending upon the user, the home page content will be displayed. Such kind of web pages are called dynamic web pages, and such web pages can be created using JavaScript or some high level technologies, libraries, frameworks like React, Angular, all that. So we will be introducing that in JavaScript. So today we are going to understand what is iframe. Now in your HTML, we have a tag called iframe. Now what is a iframe? Now iframe is like a separate page inside your page. Means once you have defined your web page, now you wanted to create a small box or a small space. Now in that space you wanted to display some other web page. Okay, such kind of things you can do with the iframe. For example, let us understand how can we do. Now just consider this is our browser. This is our browser. Okay, fine. Now here you are going to design or display one web page. Okay, you have displayed something like home.web page. Now in this web page, you wanted to create one small space or tab. Now in this tab, you wanted to display some other web page. Now this is your browser. And this is your something like home web page. And this is something like your contact web page. Means inside one web page you are displaying another web page, such, or you can display some video here or some image here or a Google map here. Such kind of work you can be done using the iframe. So let's understand it practically how we have to do. Let's come to our VS Code. I have created a file called iframe.html. Now if you want to create a HTML skeleton, what is the shortcut? Doc tab. Okay, we have created, and just let's remove this one, and I'm gonna say it's a iframe document. Okay, now here I want to create now this is iframe.html, right? Now here I wanted to create one h2, and I'm gonna say it's a iframe example. So now if you want to append some other web page in your web page, so for that you have to create one iframe. So to create an iframe, we have a tag called iframe. So how iframe, this is the tag. Okay, fine. Now this tag is going to take some attribute. One attribute is src. In this src, you have to give the location of your file which you wanted to display. So I wanted to display something like let's display first.html. So we have to give the path. Now they both are in the same folder, means dot slash. Now they both are in the same folder, so first.html. So I have created one frame, and in that frame I gave the location of a file which has to be displayed. So I'm going to save it, right click and go to your default browser. Now you are able to see a iframe. This particular thing is called one frame. In this frame you are displaying some other web page. Now this is a web page. Now by default it is the width and it is the height. If you want to increase width and height, for that you have to give the attributes. What attributes? If you want to increase the width, just say width equals to something, I will say something like 500, and just save it. Comes to your browser, refresh. Now it is 500. Now suppose you want to increase height as well. So just come to your browser and give one more attribute called height. Height equals to something like 500. Save it, comes to your browser and refresh. Yeah, fine. Now you have a web page called iframe.document. The name of that document is iframe. Now you created one frame in this page. Now in this frame you are displaying some other web page. So this is the concept of your iframe. For example, let's create some content for this web page. So I'm gonna say lorem something like 200 tab. Save it, comes to your browser and refresh it. Now this particular title, now h2 heading iframe example, and this paragraph belongs to your iframe document. And inside this iframe document you have created one frame, and inside that frame you are displaying first.html web page. Now this is the one example, right? Now in the same way, now you wanted to display some other like you wanted to display external web page, means other website, some other website you wanted to display in your particular web page. For example, I'm gonna say it's a h2 and external website, something like that. Okay, now just I'm gonna comment these things. Okay, we have commented. Now you want to display the other website in your web page. So you first of all you have to create the iframe. You have created the iframe. Whenever you are going to create the iframe, just come and see how it is going to look like. Now this is your frame. Okay, now in this frame you wanted to display some other website, like I'm gonna type something like JavaScript Wikipedia. Okay, I'm gonna open it. So we have opened the website call and just copy this location. Okay, we have copied. It comes to your website. Now you have to give the location of your website, right? So src equals to, just paste the URL. Now you want to give some width. So width will be equals to something like 500, and your height, I'm going to take height equals to 300. Now just save it and comes to your browser and refresh it. Now you are able to see some external website inside your web page. If you get some this requirement, now you have to use such kind of things. Now just consider you want to append some YouTube videos, right? So for that also what you are going to do, we have to create one frame, right? So I'm gonna say how can we integrate or display a YouTube video in your web page. So for that, let me take a h2 and I'm gonna say YouTube. It's a YouTube video. Okay, now if you want to display a YouTube video, you require a iframe. So I will just comes to your browser and just take any YouTube video. Right now I have selected one YouTube video. Just come down, you have your share button, right? Just click on the share. Now here you should not copy this particular URL. You have to come to this embed option. Just click on embed option. Now already they gave you that iframe tag. Just copy this tag. Just you need to copy, come here in your browser and paste it. Now they provided your iframe tag with some additional website, additional properties. So I'm gonna say it has 0 and it should be something like 305 something. Okay, now they provided you the attribute called frame border. Now frame border is nothing but it is going to remove your borders. Now you have some additional attributes. Apart from there, everything is same. Just save it, come to your browser and just refresh it. Now you are able to see a YouTube video inside your web page. Now this is how you can append some web pages, or you can append your own page or external website or YouTube. Now apart from this, if you want to integrate a Google map, then that also we can be doing. So let's come to our Google and we will be saying something like Google map. Now just comes to your open the Google map. Now just for example, you are going to select something, right? I want to search something like Hyderabad, Telangana, and inside here I want to display something. So let's search something. Okay, I'm gonna say Secunderabad. Okay, let's search our Rajiv Gandhi Airport. Okay, this is our Rajiv Gandhi Airport, right? Now you want to give this particular map in your web page. So for that, just click on the share, come to your embed an app, just copy this, comes to your browser, and here what we are going to say is like h2 map, or we can say Google Map. Now just paste that particular thing. Now when you are going to come to your browser and just refresh it, now you are able to see a map in your web page. Now this is how you can embed your map inside your web page. Now what you have understood, now you in your web page, if you get a requirement to give like append a your own web page or some video or some images, okay, or some external website link you want to give, you wanted to display something like that, then you have to go for the iframe. And one more thing you have to understand, now this is an external website. Now this website is allowing to display their website in your web page. Now some website doesn't allow, like for example I have MDN JavaScript. So we always tells you to refer MDN JavaScript, which is an official document for your JavaScript. You can refer even your HTML CSS because it contains all standard APIs, tags about your HTML, and what is the latest JavaScript features. Everything will be available in your MDN. So always try to refer. Now I want to display this web page in my iframe. So just I'm gonna copy it and comes to our web page. Now instead of telling that Wikipedia, now let's try to paste this one. So I'm gonna remove this one. And I'm gonna remove it, I'm gonna save it, comes to your browser and refresh it. Now you are not able to see any because we didn't give any link. We did not give any source, what source has to be displayed. Now I'm giving the source of MDN. Save it, comes to your browser. According to our understanding that MDN should come here. Now MDN is not coming. So you got something like developer.mozilla.org refused to connect. This message you are getting because MDN didn't allow any website or any web page to embed their website inside it. Means now I wanted to display MDN, right? But MDN people are not allowing. They told we are not giving any permissions to you guys to display my website inside your web page or your website. So you have to like understand something, which website allows, which website doesn't allow. So according to that you have to use. Now this is not giving us permission. So this is all about your iframe. Okay, this is one of the important concept. Like sometimes you go to W3 school and you are able to see some output, right? And that output screen, that everything comes because of this iframe concept. So this is one of the very important concept that you guys have to remember. Okay, like in your website sometimes you wanted to give the link of some YouTube videos, so you can do using this iframe. Or else you want to give the Google map, so you can do that one also, like archive something like this, you can zoom it. So all these features you have here. Okay, so this is all about your iframe. Now let us understand about some HTML5 tags. So I'm going to create one new file and I'm going to say it's a 9, and I'm going to say something like HTML5 tags .html. Now your HTML5 is going to provide you some additional tags which are not present before HTML5 versions. What are that? The first one is your section tag. Then you have one more called article tag. You have one more called header tag. You have one more something like footer tag. We have so many, right? We have the footer tag. Apart from that, we have something like a side tag. Then we have something like summary tag. We have detail tag. Like there are bunch of tags which has been introduced in your HTML5. Now let us understand what is the use of that. Let's come to our paint and let's try to understand it. Now just consider this is your browser. Don't consider it is the browser, consider it is your web page. Okay, now it is your web page. Now in this web page, you wanted to divide this web page into multiple sections, right? This should be your header section. Okay, and here you want to give navigation section. Means here you want to give your company logo and your company name, something like so. It is like header section. And here you wanted to use some links like home, about us, contact us, services, some kind of. So it is, we call it as a navigation section, right? In the same way how you have the header section, now here you wanted to create a footer section. You have created here footer section. You are going to say @C copyrights, all rights are reserved, and it is developed by Mr. Kabir, something like that. And apart from that, you wanted to divide this section into two parts. One is like a side section. This particular thing, one side section. And here in this side section, you wanted to provide some links. Side section. Here in the side section, you wanted to provide some links. So whenever someone is going to click on that link, then content related to that link is going to display here. When he is going to click on some other link, then content related to that particular link should be displayed here. So it is called like section, like main section we can call. I'm gonna say like main section. And this particular thing is called footer section. Means you are dividing your particular web page in multiple section, and each section have their own importance. Here you are going to display some logo, your company name, which is known as header section. Here some footer section, here some main section, here navigations, you are going to provide some links of navigations, and here also you are going to provide links, but this is as a side section. And this particular structure is called layout. Means you have different layout for that web page. Now it depends upon a particular developer or a requirement how you want to construct this particular web page. It's not like it's a fixed structure. Now you wanted to create first one is the header section, right? Then you don't want to create navigation section. You wanted to give main section this side and a side section on your right side. You can construct, you can develop, you can implement. That totally depends upon your requirement. So just I wanted to explain, like we have such sections, and for each section we have some tags called section for section. And article is like if you want to provide some article, an independent article, so that content you can write inside your article tag. And header is for the header section, footer is for footer section. So by default it doesn't have any stylings. Now it totally depends upon you guys how you wanted to give the stylings. So let us try this one a little bit. So let's do a doc tab. Now we got the HTML skeleton. So just I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to say layout document something. So we can rename it as a layout.html instead of HTML5. So I'm going to rename this file with layout.html. Okay, fine. Now the first thing what you wanted to create the header. So for that it is a header. So before we used to take a div and we used to create different sections. Now instead of taking div, we can give a specific tags for a specific purpose. For heading, we are going to write that content in the header section. Now in header section, I want the content should be in center, so I'm taking a center tag. Now here I want one heading of my company, so I'm gonna say it's like Kabir's website. So I have a heading known as Kabir website, or a Kabir's company, something like that. Whatever you wanted to give, you can give. And I can keep my logo, my company logo, but as of now I don't want it to keep. So I have created a header section. Now I want to create a nav section, right? So for that we have a tag called nav, and this is a nav where you can give some links using href, something like that. Okay, that's a nav section. Now our main section comes. So for that we have a tag called section. So it is going to create a separate section. Now in this section I'm going to create one article, and in that article I want to give one heading like h2, and I'm going to say it as a html. Then I want to provide some content regarding html. So this is everybody is know how to be provide. So lorem something like 200 tab. Now in the same way I wanted to create multiple articles in this section. So I'm going to create multiple articles, and I'm going to say something it as Spring Boot, and I will be saying it as something Oracle. Okay, save it and comes to your browser, right click, open in default browser. Now let's close this everything. Now you are able to see something like HTML content. Now this is your header section. Now this is your section. Inside section you have HTML, you have Spring Boot, and you have the Oracle. Now just suppose I wanted to create a footer as well. So for that what we are going to do, after this section I wanted to create a footer. So footer. Okay, inside footer I'm gonna say something like h2 and copy right ampersand copy. Okay, something like that, and I will be saying something like developed by Kabir. I want to say something like I want to give p and all rights are reserved, something like some footer you wanted to give. Save it, comes to your browser and see. Now you are able to see this copyright, all rights are reserved something, and you want it to be in the center. So you can do that too. So we know that we can keep the center tag, or you can give using your CSS as well. So as of now we are not concentrating on designing, just we need to understand the layout. Okay, fine, save it, comes to your browser, refresh. Now it comes into the center. Now this is called your footer section. Now we are able to see in some circle, right? So we have some formats to display like this. Even we can display some smileys, right? So that we'll be seeing in some other session how we have to display all that. So as of now just you have to remember this particular part is called your footer part. Then this is a article which is inside your section part. So this is but by default we don't have any alignments or any stylings for it. If you want to give the stylings, then you know what you have to do. You have to go to your head tag. Now if you want to write the stylings, then you have to write everything in one tag called style tag. Okay, this is a style tag. Now you want to give the headings like some stylings to header. So how we are going to write header. Okay, header. Now if you want to give some background, so we are going to mix the color like background, linear gradient, some 45-degree, and I want to mix two colors like RGB, and I want to give the values some 34, 34, 56, something, right? Okay, then one more RGB, and I'm gonna say something like 92, 92, something. Okay, we give some background. Now if you want to give some width for this, you can give some height you wanted to give, you can give all that. Now just save it. Then comes to, let's do some box shadow as well. So I'm gonna say box shadow as something like 10 pixel black. Okay, something like 00. You can do something like this, right? Now just come to your browser and see some output. Now this particular thing is called your website, right? Now you are able to see some gap here, but you don't want it to give that particular gap. So for that, what we have to do, you have to come to your style tag and just say body, because body and margin equals to 0 pixel. I hope so. It should work. Come to your browser. Yeah, now you are able to see it as like your heading. Now if you want to increase the height, so for that you have the tag. What is the name of your tag? Sorry, we don't have the tag, we have the property called height. So what is the height property? You want to give something like 40 pixel. Save and come here. Now this is your, or if you want to give more you can give, so let's give it to the 100. So it looks like something heading. Refresh it. Yeah, but it is looking much more, right? So let's make it to the 80 and let's give padding as well, like padding equals to something like 20 pixel. Okay, fine. Now you give the some stylings to header, but by default HTML doesn't provide any styling for this header section. So that's what you have to remember. Now you want to give some stylings to your section as well, right? So just write section, and inside section you want to give the stylings to the article, so just paste article. So we will be seeing all these stylings in CSS, which we are starting from tomorrow. Now we are going to pause our HTML here. It doesn't mean that we have finished HTML, we are just pausing. Now we will start our CSS sessions. We will complete some 4 to 5 sessions and you will learn so many things about CSS. Then again we are going to come back to HTML. We are going to learn some concepts in HTML. Then we are going to do a project now by combining your HTML and CSS. Anyhow you are going to be familiar with the CSS, then it should be very easy for you to understand. Okay, this is what our plan is going to be. So I'm gonna give something like background color, and this time something like brown. Okay, and I wanted to use something like padding, which should be some 10 pixel. Okay, just come to your browser and just refresh it. Now you are able to see some content like this, right? Yeah, now you want to give the color, you want to change the font color, so just say color white. And if you want to give some margin, you can give margin equals to something 2 pixel. Okay, now from after every article you want one line, so for that what we have, HR. Now this is how you have to divide your sections, yeah, by using this CSS. So just for example, okay, we have did it. Okay, now you got some margin, now you got some stylings. Now apart from that, for this also, if you want to give some stylings, then let's come to our CSS and just say header. I mean footer, and you can give some stylings like background. Let's copy some this all things and just let's paste here. So it is going to save our time, and let's change just some values. 156 and let's give it as 192. Save it. Apart from that, we don't want any changes. Now this is your this one. Now I think developed by Kabir is came out of our header section or footer section or what. So let's come to our particular thing. Center, it's like EH2 done. That's cool. Okay, because of that width we gave some width, right? Fixed width, I mean fixed height. So I just want to remove this height and I'm gonna save it. So come here, refresh. Okay, now we are able to see everything. Now this is your footer section. Now this is your main section, and in main section, this particular section is called your article section, article, and this is your header section. Now if you want to create a side section, then you can create some aside section here, and you can use some links. Now how can you make this aside section and main section side by side? Then you have to go with the concept called table. Then you have to keep this in one row, I mean one TD, and this is in another TD, so it will come side by side. So that's the concept of your headers, sections, articles, footers, summary, details, that we will be using in some projects. So there we will be see what is the use of your details and summary. So that's all for this session, guys. Now you have learned about some iframes and some sections. Now here we are going to stop our HTML sessions. Now from tomorrow we are going to start with the CSS, and just be ready for CSS. And I think you guys now came to know how important the CSS is to design your website. Now how beautiful it is looking, right? This color. So this is how you guys have to design with the CSS. So you have to be very strong on CSS, and Bootstrap is one of the framework of CSS. So if you want to understand Bootstrap, first of all you need to understand CSS. So that we are going to see from tomorrow. So that's all guys for this session, and thank you for watching my videos.